everybody. Good smiles as we welcome our next presenter, who will share how Edge AI is transforming the workplace. I'm going to be welcoming Ashley Woodbridge, Field CTO Infrastructure Solutions Group, Meta at Lenovo. There he is. Please welcome with a good round of cheer. Hello and welcome to you.
Good morning, everyone. So today I want to talk about what we're seeing as the real practical examples of what's happening in the Edge AI space. And it really comes from something that we believe occurred during COVID, and that's finally IT lived up to the expectations in terms of being able to provide the line of business, actual real-world solutions that help to drastically improve business outcomes, business cost, and everything like that. So we're seeing a massive trend where it's now the line of business is responsible for over 50% of the IT budget, and sometimes this used to be called shadow IT, but what we're really seeing is business-led projects where the whole decision-making, design, and procurement is happening in the line of business, and it's only IT being called in to actually do the operations and management. Now, why this becomes really interesting is we're seeing the use cases move outside of the carpeted offices. They're going further into the field, because that's the places where business has always been challenged to use IT to solve these issues. But we have a challenge. On one side, IT hasn't got any easier over the last few years, so we have a lot of technical debt that needs to be solved, whether that's application modernization, replatforming. Obviously, security risks and concerns are not going anywhere. And of course, we're asked to do all of this with less. And then on the right-hand side, we have the business saying, well, I need you to get out of the carpeted offices. I need you to get out of the workspace, out of the knowledge workers, and give this to my users out in the field, my teachers, my field technicians. All of these things are the expectations coming from the business. Now, this is converging with a very interesting data point that we're seeing from IDC, which is saying 70% of all data is not only going to be captured in the field, but being actioned in the field. So this is now where we need to start to think about making this data available real time, because the decision-making process is going to also happen in real time. So we need to start to think about where the analytics, where the capabilities are actually going to occur. But the real exciting trend we're seeing is this data is no longer data. We're seeing a tremendous uptick in the use of computer vision. So one of the most mature of your deep learning AI model capabilities is really being used to augment every scene that we can see as humans and convert that into data that can be actioned. So these are real-world use cases that we've deployed, whether it's to stop theft and shrinkage in retail, whether it's to do behavioral analytics on students' attentionness within classrooms and school environments, whether it's being able to do behavioral analytics in retail environments. These are all use cases that are solving real business problems and typically haven't been solved before. So we're seeing a shift where customers aren't coming to us and saying, what are the use cases? Give me your ingredients, give me your shopping list, and we'll just pick the use cases. They're coming to us saying, here's the business problem. This is what we need you to solve. And that changes very much how you build out your infrastructure, how you build out your teams, and how you build out your platforms. But the second part, because obviously generative AI is all the rage and all the conversation points, is, as we all know, the hardest thing to do to train an AI model is to get the original data for it to be able to learn on. So I did a project a few years ago where we had to look on buses for damage, scratches, flat tires, these sort of things. And the challenge we ran into is we had to take photos of 10,000 buses with a scratch, 10,000 buses with a flat tire, to get the data to train the model. Now with generative AI, and you can see in these examples here, we're able to build out complete virtual playgrounds where we can capture photorealistic images that we can then feed into training models to be able to build out first-of-a-kind, unique computer vision-based use cases, convert all of this into data, and then use your typical data analytics platforms and the like to be able to gain the insights. Now, just to give you a view of how far that has gone, what you're seeing here is a city-sized, we call it Omniverse environment, that is completely built using generative AI and Omniverse capabilities. This is all computer rendered. So, I mean, if you think of even the top grossing movie, Avatar, whatever you want to think, where we are in terms of being able to, at the enterprise, build generative AI Omniverse environments that can be then used to visualize or train AI is really opening up a number of use cases that I'll talk about shortly. But it also is really bringing augmented reality into the front of play. So on the remote expert side of things, now that we have cognitive abilities to be able to analyze a scene, we have large language models that have capabilities like code interpretation, where they can real-time write Python code, be able to integrate with APIs to be able to go scour the web for the most up-to-date product manuals, the most up-to-date statistics on how that actual piece of equipment is working. You're now actually building a real lot of tangibility into augmented environments. And with the visual capabilities, you're then able to do it in a way that's very consumable by the employees. But it can be even simpler than that if we want to think how we build these worlds. We can now even use it for privacy and security, where we can bring the same technology that you might be using for remote experts or visualizations, now can enable productivity in a workforce setting by giving users the ability to run 3 virtual screens while they're sitting on public transport or the like. So you're starting to see investments in the underlying technology, whether that be from the pocket or the client right through to the cloud infrastructures to doing it, are really being able to drive mixed use of the use cases and being able to get a better return of investment by being able to drive more and more of these conversations. But I always like to deal in practical examples. So this is a mock-up of what we actually did. So unlike a lot of infrastructure vendors, Lenovo is a manufacturing company, not just a marketing company that sells some infrastructure. So we design all of our own hardware in our own factories. And this is really important when it comes to security concerns, because it means we have total control over our supply chain because we're not outsourcing it to third parties, which I'd love to have a conversation about how that's important in the AI space, as you can imagine. But in our latest factory, we wanted to automate with robots the detection of damaged boxes. But we, of course, didn't want to have to damage boxes to be able to learn that. So we were able to use Omniverse and generative AI in the 3D space to give it the AutoCADs of our actual boxes and make photorealistic renders of these 3D objects. But not only that, we can now apply realistic physics to these. So we can say, show me what the box will look like when I toss it off a 3-story building. Now apply water to that box if it's been out in the rain. So we're then able to generate, as you can see here, these are the photorealistic photos. We're able to generate these photorealistic images, run it through our playground platform called Leco, which is doing all your training and label management, and be able to actually train the models. We then capture those inference models that we've done from our hybrid cloud infrastructures, push it down to our edge devices that are running in our robotics platforms in our factories, and before the factory was even built, be able to do damaged box detection modeling, and also design the overall factory for the efficiency of these things. So you can sort of see how edge, generative AI, deep learning, computer vision are all coming together. But as I stand up on these stages, and I'm fortunate to come to a lot of these events, the message is always, this is what's happening in the future. Let us build a strategy. This is what's going to come. How can I be ready for it? This is happening now. I mean, we too often focus too much on the consumer part of what's happening in the generative AI space and not realizing now, today, there are as many customers globally that are already deploying these solutions in real-world use cases. Now, those use cases are very varied. Certainly, we can talk about these today in the breakout sessions. But what occurs for all of them is obviously being able to have that horizontal platform underneath that lets you be able to respond faster as ITs, as partners, as integrators, to being able to deploy those use cases. You need one large language model that doesn't suffer from the alignment or the availability issues that a ChatGPT does, where, let's be honest, is all aligned to the cultural values and the systems as a part of a US owned corporation. If that doesn't work for your business, having these internal large language models is going to be important to be able to drive these business cases, as is being able to control the security and the governance and bias of these large language models. So as a part of your journey to this edge AI world, it's very important to have that foundation in place in preparation for when the line of business asks you for the use cases, or elsewise this will go the shadow IT approach. And then, of course, this is a lot harder to bring back under control and secure, as we've all lived through over the last 10 years. So what are some other examples? Again, these are already deployed solutions that we've worked with on our customers global. This is a great example. So we very much believe in sustainability. So we took on this project. This is a company that recycles propane tanks. Now, the big issue with propane tanks is they should be empty when you crush them. If they're not, they have a tendency to go boom. So what we actually worked on was a computer vision inspection model where we could actually detect the overall quality of the tank, the risk of actually these still being loaded with propellant, and then being able to flag that automatically, removing humans from needing to be near potentially dangerous, flammable, explosive goods. The second one I'm proud of was we were working with a global NGO who wanted to bring advanced medical services into the field. So this is into asylum seeker camps, this is into war zones, this is into natural disaster zones. Typically what you have in these environments is only the basic of basic triage. What they wanted was the ability to be able to do all your medical imaging, being able to do blood tests, and being able to do, in the age of COVID, be able to do PCR-style DNA replication tests. What we were able to do is deliver crash kits that can be easily placed on a plane, that deliver a hybrid cloud infrastructure that even has all of the GPUs and etc. to be able to run analytics workloads for things like medical imaging and the like. Again, these are solutions that are deployable today. We have the customer references. This is not make-believe future state sort of thing. So, I mean, for one message I would say I'd love to you all to take is heed the moment. Think about how these things can impact your business, because the technology, our partners, and the solutions are ready to be able to help you in this space. So why do customers choose Lenovo? Firstly, I would say it's our customer centricity. We are very keen to tackle the problems. So come talk to us about a problem statement, and we work backwards from there. So, we love getting involved in that initial phase of what is the problem I need to solve from the business, and let's see how we can pull that together and find a solution. Where when we go into the line of business, we're now starting to be in the space where manufacturing plants get shut down, hospitals get shut down. If you don't have the right reliability, not only at the component and infrastructure level, but the solution level, we're globally recognized from an infrastructure point of view for the last, someone will have to correct me from Lenovo, but I believe it's now 17 quarters for the most reliable infrastructure. And then the final part is security. So it doesn't take you much Googling to see the headlines about the different attacks that are being done against AI, the different hardware attacks, where supply chain attacks are happening, where backdoors are being installed during the supply chain when there is stuff sitting at DHL depots. And of course, then that impacts every application, every service that runs on top of that. Lenovo owning its own manufacturing, owning its complete supply chain, this gives our customers the confidence to be able to know that they have a secure platform that can then test and validate the secure software, and then that software is driving secure applications, which is very important when you go into more of these challenging use cases. Now, finally, I believe we talked in the last presentation about AI is not a new thing. So, funnily enough, I would say AI used to be called supercomputers. And supercomputers have been around for a very long time. Lenovo just happens to be, there's a famous list for some of the people that have been around a while called the Top 500, which tracks the top 500 supercomputers globally. Lenovo is #1 provider of the top 500 supercomputers globally. What that's allowed us to do is we've been doing AI before it was cool. And that really has helped us be able to find the next generation of AI innovators. And through our AI innovation program, what we do is we bring those to market. So we work with the universities, we work with the startup communities. We've just announced a $2 billion investment in this space, where we do the validation, we do the certification, we do the training and the testing that you can bring these niche, industry-specific edge and AI startups with the validation and comfort that it has been tested by a global company like Lenovo. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and if you have any questions, the Lenovo team's around all day. Thank you.